So, there have been some updates to Bloodhunt since my last video. Here's a quick overview of what got added or changed and if the game is still worth it. If you don't know what Bloodhunt is, check out my beginner's guide. Bloodhunt left early access in late April and is still free to play with an in-game shop and a battle pass system. Both are just for cosmetics. But sadly, the player base is declining rapidly. As you can see, after the end of early access, Bloodhunt got a nice boost that had since then disappeared, leaving only around 1500 players. Because of this, the developer tries to get players back by adding new game modes or changing existing ones. With the release, Sharkmob added a ranking system to the normal Battle Royale mode. But at the moment, ranked mode is not available, because there are not enough players and some balancing issues with crossplay. The second mode that was added is Bloodhunt. Here each player has a second life. After being killed, you will respawn at a random location near your point of death with a blue AK and a spiked bed, so you are not completely defenseless. Respawn players will also be invisible for a short duration while they orient themselves. During this period, players are able to move freely to get into position if enemies are around. Players are able to regain their extra life by feeding on special humans, but you can never have more than one. Bloodhunt also adds different modifications to a match, for example high tier loot in all areas. The third new mode is Team Deathmatch. 16 players compete in 2 teams against each other to see which team reaches 50 kills first. That's it. No real objectives or positions to hold, so as most often with games not really designed for Team Deathmatch, it quickly dissolves into firing at anything that doesn't have an icon over its head. Team Deathmatch currently has 5 levels that are based on different sections of the Prague Battle Royale map. Loot and ammunition are available as pickups and your vampire will be full buffed out with maximum resonances. There are also no mortals to feed on and you cannot change your vampire class after the match has started. Joining games in progress or changing teams is also not available. You can also now look for another game while on the end of the match screen and don't have to reload back to the hub area. The Ventru Enforcer is a tank-like archetype that can activate invincibility for a short duration, but any offensive action will deactivate it immediately. So it's best used to get into cover or reload. You also cannot heal yourself while the ability is active. The second active ability is a charge move that deals moderate damage and silences enemies for a brief duration. Silenced enemies can't use their ability while affected. You can also use the ability to dash forward while in the air to better reach the next wall. And any enemies near the Enforcer will have their movement speed slowed down through his passive ability, which supposedly helps with melee attacks, but is not really that great. With the new archetype progression, you can now level up your archetype and unlock special perks for them. These perks range from general effects like faster reload speed or a shorter duration of Bloodhunt to specialized effects like starting with a melee weapon instead of a pistol or starting with extra armor. To unlock new perks, you just have to gain experience by killing, assist, damage done and executions. You are only able to activate 1 perk at a time from a pool of 9. Each archetype has its own pool of perks to choose from, but there is some overlap with other archetypes.
Judge engaging.
I think the addition of Ranked mode, Bloodhunt and Team Deathmatch is a good idea. In Ranked you get paired with players of your same skill level, which keeps things interesting. And with Bloodhunt and Team Deathmatch, people take more risks, which leads to faster gameplay. The inclusion of the archetype progression also adds a nice feature to fine-tune your playstyle. I just wish there would be a little bit more of that. All in all, these changes since early access are nice, but I don't really think they are enough to stop the player exodus, which is too bad, because after Nosgoth I was happy to once again climb around as a vampire. Faircheck needs to implement something to differentiate itself much more from other Battle Royale games. The vampire theme and powers are nice, but the gunplay is pretty much the same as in any other game. Melee combat is also not really that unique. Maybe the game needs a Mortals vs Vampire mode where the vampires are outnumbered but much stronger, or a competitive objective mode where the movement abilities of the vampires restart to shine. If you're looking for a new Battle Royale game and can get something out of the vampire theme, try it out, it's free to play. For anyone else, I would probably just wait and see where the game is in a few months. Anyway, do you plan to try out Bloodhunt, or do you think it's already dead and not worth the effort?